Minnesota. I'm your host, Alan Tracy.
I'm Rahana Power.
And today we have Theresa and David Alvarado joining us. Hello.
Hello. This is Theresa. I'm David.
And nobody can see us.
I'm letting them know.
That's
yeah,
okay.
the voices,
And that way people listening will be able to tell, because you never quite know.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having us, guys.
Absolutely. We're really excited that you were able to, fit us in. I know that, summer can be really, really busy for people. So thank you for taking the time.
And thank you for clearing all of the questions with our publicist.
Absolutely. Yes.
We don't have a publicist.
Your people, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Our people contacted your people. We got it all clear.
We actually have separate people. So.
Oh, it's one of those. That's tough.
Yeah.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith sort of thing going on.
Yes. I literally just today, I'm working on the treatment for something that I'm writing. And I looked at the treatment for Mr. and Mrs. Smith as an example.
Oh, funny.
And I was so funny you mentioned that. I was literally just like dreaming about us doing something like that today.
Ooh, I like it.
I do like that. Really funny. That sounds intriguing.
We have a lot of questions for you today. And so before we jump in, we have our little icebreaker, try and get to know you guys a little bit better on a, just a roundabout holistic level. So can you tell us something interesting, fun, maybe unique about yourselves?
No, you go first.
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
All right. Something interesting, unique about myself. I'll start just by saying last name Alvarado is Mexican origin. And if people cannot see me, I'd look very white. And
I say, how was it in Italian?
No, that was Borat. Why did
I was going to say Borat.
Yeah, I do that. But I always tell people, no me parece, pero soy mexicano. And my dad is Mexican. And he's actually relatively light-skinned too. But me and all my siblings, we look like just no one even believes us. And we're also relatively tall. So like on his side of the family, we've got all the primos, and all the times that we hung out with them, we literally like physically stood out above everybody else as well.
I love that.
But so I got the Hispanic roots.
That's awesome. Do you go back to Mexico at all, or with your family?
I've not been in Mexico yet. I know I have family in Jalisco that I've not been there, but I've gone with my dad to Spain and Puerto Rico and Costa Rica and like a few different Spanish speaking countries, and that's been really fun.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah,
that was mine.
Well, you went a very like genuine route. I was gonna go kind of the weird route, so here I go. I was just gonna say I have very weirdly long fingers. So if you can't see them, you can probably go to my Instagram and see them. My sister used to call them spindle fingers because they're so spidery. And so I have really good dexterity in my fingers. And I should have grown up playing the piano, but I was playing hockey instead. I guess that's a way more interesting fact than my fingers being weirdly long.
Well, here's what's also interesting is that they are very long, but obviously not unattractive because you've done a bunch of hand modeling.
That's true. Ties in. Yes. So I do hand modeling stuff. I've done a few shoots for Target, and local companies and things like that. But yeah, so you just learned a couple things.
That's awesome. That's okay. The one thing leads to so much.
Exactly.
Yeah. Absolutely.
This industry works like that. So I'm actually just setting it up for our talk.
Right. Just like special skills, hands. And then they that's what brings
love
them in.
that.
I love it. Awesome. Also, you played hockey. That's really cool.
Yeah. I started when I was 5. Well, I started skating when I was 4, started playing park leagues when I was 5. And then I played for Minnetonka for many years until I turned 13, 14, and then 8th grade, I was asked to play varsity at where I graduated, which was Minnehaha Academy. And then I played kind of like the club league in college at our school, Gordon College, which is where we met. and it was all boys. So at my senior year, I got to captain the team, and that was a very interesting experience to play with boys because I played with girls my whole life.
Yep.
And they're pretty, rowdy, interesting.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah. No, I love the sport. I will always be a hockey girl in my heart.
Do you still like play it all in like a rec league kind of thing, or
No, I mean, life just got too busy, and I feel like people who do that in Minnesota are pretty committed to like a weekly schedule, games, stuff like that. I just knew, I knew if I committed to that, I'm someone who just like sees something through to the end. I wouldn't stop, and then other dreams would be put aside and stuff like that. So I was like, I got to put an end to it. But I've been teaching David how to skate, and he's doing really well.
I didn't know how to skate. So I moved here from the Boston area about 6 years ago. And so I lived another very cold, icy spot, but I did not know how to skate pretty much at all. So she taught me. And that was always like one of our fun things is would go, around Christmas time or like Valentine's Day, we'd go skating and you see the hockey bros with like their long flowy hair and they're zipping around, and then they got their girls holding on to them and they're like towing. But then I'm holding on to her and she's telling me, I'm the one getting pulled behind. I'm like, slow down.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh. I also don't know how to skate. So I'm in the same boat as you.
We should have a people in film skating lesson by me for free.
I love it. Absolutely. That would be amazing. I think about it every year and then I'm like, I would definitely fall and just be done. So
yeah, just hanging out by the rail, like I'm fine.
Exactly.
Falling really doesn't hurt as much as you think that it does on ice.
I don't know why she says that. One of the things we'll talk about later is like doing stunts and stuff, and like I am very good at falling and falling safely, and it hurts a lot every time that I fall on the ice. I don't know why you say that.
She's just used to it.
Unless there's something,
unless you're like fully padded up, maybe. I mean, maybe, right? Yeah.
I think maybe it's like a mental thing too, because I get nervous kind of like falling on just regular ground or even on like a mat sometimes, whereas like ice is like I've done it a trillion times without wanting to, and so then my brain is just like, I know how to like catch myself and slide along.
Absolutely. So kind of going off of that, so what got you guys into, filmmaking, acting, and then, like you just mentioned, David, stunts?
Do you want to jump in with anything? I think what's interesting is those three different things have sort of come in very different ways for us. So I think acting, even if you weren't doing it organized, I think acting is probably something Theresa's been doing since she was born.
Yeah.
For me, the first show I ever did was in middle school, and it was like a couple of the girls that I was into were in the show, Oliver Twist, and I was like, well, I think I'll audition as well, and that way I could hang out. I'm just telling you how it starts. That's not what I'm still doing.
I hope not.
So that's it. And I think it wasn't until much later that I really took acting seriously, much to the chagrin of some of my college professors as well. I cannot tell you how many people have believed in my potential, and I've just completely let them down because I just wanted to play rec dodgeball in school. That's what I cared about. Right. And it wasn't until my senior year. I'd say it wasn't until my senior year in college that I had, I'd say just the first time that I really took acting seriously and was like, oh wait, this is really cool what I get to do. And also maybe I want to do this more, but it was pretty much all in theater up until this one actually got me into doing film because you'd sort of had more experience with that.
Yeah, I think, and David doesn't speak highly of himself, so I will. He's a phenomenal actor. And even when he wasn't taking himself seriously, he just has that natural talent that he was able to go to college and take acting classes and do all that stuff, which it all came in subconsciously, but he's very good actor. Whereas I kind of started more on like the tech side of things, and I studied film in school and communications and visual art and that kind of stuff, and found myself really loving editing. And so that's what I do most of the time now is video editing. But I've always loved being in front of the camera. My mom is one of the founders of television shopping. So like I think it's eBuying now. I'm not sure what it is, but she was a part of the original national television shopping, home shopping network.
Wow.
And so I grew up going to the studio every day after school, and I didn't have a babysitter.
There are some adorable videos of her when she's just like, just so tiny.
I had the biggest cheeks. Like my face was just very large. But it, it's cute at the but anyway, so I always knew I loved the camera, and I loved, learning from my mom how to present myself and stuff like that. And then in college, I got a little bit more into the tech side, and then moving back to Minnesota, I tried to kind of merge those, life takes in different directions. But when we got married, 2017, he came out here. And I think 2 years later or something, I had my first editing gig. And that's when things kind of started rolling for us in terms of film. And he hadn't even thought about doing film, but I always knew my life would be in film. No matter what I was doing, I knew I'd be in this industry because I'm so passionate about film. And I think David just needed that outlet where all of his skills could be utilized, and it's film.
Oh, that's very sweet. Well, yeah, I guess so in terms of acting on camera, I don't really like being on camera. I definitely don't like taking photos. It's like I don't know why. It's maybe like, how Bruce Wayne fell into a cave and all the maybe I when I was younger and I repressed it and like a bunch of cameras fell on me or something. I don't know what it was. But I like
take a turn.
For the longest time, I didn't really even consider it because I was like, I do not like doing that. I love being on stage. I love the energy of being with people in person. But I think I had this interesting, I'm going to say, misconception of like, I came up with a lot of theater people, and there was like this sense of like, oh, like you do movies or TV, you're not so much of an actor. And I think the way I look at it now is actually pretty different from that, where you are in a movie, or now with all the streaming services and stuff, you get to play a character for maybe years, and I think there's so much more realness potential there, even though of course being on set is weird because you're getting ready to say your lines and there's someone that you can see that no one else is going to know is like right there in the shot, and their flies down and but they're just holding the boom, and like what I mean, like being on set is so weird. But what you're able to create in the end product, I think, is so much more realistic than at least any of the shows that I've done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So Theresa, you kind of mentioned editing. So how did both of you get into stunts from that? I mean, you went technical acting. Where did stunts come into play?
I'll just kind of set it up, but it's kind of it's this weird thing where when we were friends in college, we both were like, hey, let's be starving artists in Hollywood. And we weren't together. And then we got together and got married and knew that our lives would we'd be walking hand in hand forever. And we'd be in this industry together. And we both had very similar interests in film. And, we both love action movies. We love, fight stuff and like being badass, if I'm allowed to say that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. Being that like very strong character. And we both grew up doing martial arts. So my dad is a Taekwondo instructor, and David actually teaches with him and has for the last few years. So it's this kind of like weird kind of converging of like what, and David will be more eloquent with it because I tend to ramble. But yeah, it kind of all came together in the last like few years.
I mean, there was one clear moment, I think, that like a lot of things sort of all came together. So this little thing called SARS-CoV-2 happened. And
Wait, what?
what?
What are you
I was
talking about?
gonna like the Men in Black thing. Just forget
Right.
the whole thing. But no, so I mean, we had done a show together out here, like a stage production, and
Mhm.
I had performed at Stevie Ray's doing improv at the Chanhassen Dinner Theaters and stuff.
Mhm.
And improv, I did improv at Improv Boston. That's like maybe my actual true love. You're my true love, but you know what I mean? Like that's in terms of performance. That's like maybe to me the most fun you could possibly have, because the audience just gives you a pass for some reason. They're like,
Yeah.
you're making it up. So you sing a song that is trash, but because you just made it up, they're like, you're amazing. I love that. But so we had done some stuff out here, and of course commercial work, because this is a commercial town.
Yep.
But I was bartending and I was teaching and I was working a lot. And it wasn't until all of a sudden everything shut down that I was like, oh, all right, I don't have all this time now. What am I going to do? And for me, what my biggest hero, my mom would want me to say my biggest hero was Jesus growing up. But aside from him, my biggest hero was Jackie Chan. And I've watched at least almost every one of his movies ever. That was like my favorite thing growing up. And I wanted to be Jackie Chan. I did karate when I was younger. And then, I teach martial arts now. And Jackie Chan obviously does the fight stuff, but he also, I think, was maybe like the father of parkour and free running before that was really a thing. He was doing these wall runs and these crazy techniques before David Bell and all those guys in France came along. I could geek about that forever. But I just was like, I've always wanted to do some of these movements. And I just had time, and I was like, I'm just going to go start teaching myself, start training. And I'd always said, like, I want to be able to learn how to do a front flip and backflip. I never did that my whole life, 29 years old. I was like, I learned how to do a backflip now. Like, who does that when they're 29 years old?
That's awesome.
You know what I mean? So I had been doing all of this physical training, and Theresa had kind of connected with this group that did a lot of advertisements and stuff. And she had done some editing and some acting for them. And so she and Andrew Stecker was connected with those guys. I'm sure anyone who is listening in this area probably knows Andrew Stecker, the most beautiful man in the world.
Shut up.
So, this crew, they also were like, we don't have that much to do. And it was like the perfect stars aligning over the summer of 2020, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the summer of 2020 that the NFL was, still going to obviously do their whole season and stuff. And they decided they were going to do like the Doritos fan ad challenge.
Oh, yeah.
So these guys weren't doing anything, and they were like, hey, we should all get together and do a thing. And I was sort of peripherally attached to this group. Like I kind of knew them. We did that funny Zoom sketch, right? But everyone was like, does anyone have an idea? And I had just been sitting around cooking with all kinds of ideas. So I was like, I'll come up with an idea. So I came up with this idea to do a minute-long video that was like, I loved all the Doritos ads when I saw them when I was younger, because they would just go funny and silly and goofy, whatever. And so we used 2 karate students that I was teaching and had them be on a playground. And I just came up with this premise that they start fighting, but then they turn into me and Theresa, and we like kind of fight sort of almost as their like avatars or in their imagination. Yeah.
Imagination style. Yeah.
Yeah. So I came up with this idea, and I'm surprised people weren't like, you're weird. What are you talking about? But they were like, sure. Yeah, let's shoot it. So we shot that. That was I think that was the first thing I'd ever done on camera. Like literally.
Yeah,
anything.
legitimately.
So I wasn't even thinking at all like a filmmaker. I was like, I want you to actually kick me in the head. And other people were having to tell me, like, that's just not how it works. Like, it's not even going to look good if you have to do that. So I was just like so passionate and excited about it. No know-how, and I came up with cool choreography, and it was a fun story. And that video now has like 3.6 million views. Yeah. Because we ended up putting on our YouTube channel or something like that. But which is crazy. You never know when the YouTube gods are going to go like, yes, you over there, you got some of this. But that, I think that doing that project was what made us be like, oh, we did pretty good, and we did this action together, and I got to do like some some parkour type stuff too. And I was like, that looks really cool to watch myself do that on camera, you know? And then she edited it, and Theresa has edited all of our stuff, I think very well.
Oh, okay.
And,
I've grown a lot.
but I think it was sort of in that moment, and especially when we saw the response to that video, that we were like, oh, maybe we should do more of this stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. But it's still funny to me that it just came from someone being like, hey, does anyone have an idea? And I suggested something, and I was not thinking at that time that these years later I would be really wanting to act and really wanting to filmmake, you know?
Right.
But now I've been sort of taken myself to film school ever since then.
And I'm so impressed and proud of that, because like I said earlier, I knew this was going to be my industry no matter what. And I knew we were going to do like something no matter what. I just felt like he needed to find his niche. And so I was like, haha, yes, he got the bug, the film bug. And now he's just full of ideas and so excited. We're both so excited about the future. And so it's so cool to see people responding to the film that we did for Z-Fest this year, and that people enjoy fight comedy. People enjoy us fighting each other. That's really fun too.
Yeah. So was that your first like film role that you guys made here, or was it something else? Or?
Because that was something that we sort of produced ourselves, and it was, we didn't even like say any lines in it, you know what I mean? Like by the time we sort of popped up, it was just we were just doing action, and then it sort of went back to the kids at the end. I'd say like I think my first film role came like 6 months after that. Andrew Stecker, the great connector of people, he got me on a feature film, and I was a featured extra, and I got hired because they were looking for someone who could maybe look like a Nazi, and they're like, Andrew apparently was like, I got just the guy for it.
Perfect.
Yeah, we won't tell anyone that he's Mexican because he looks like a Nazi. So, but that was my first film, and it was on a feature film, and that I don't want to go into like. There's so many like fun things to tell, but I don't want to tell that. Like
we're talkers. We
no, I know. We could just like go literally forever. But I'll just say, when I got on the first act, like hired to do something, right, and I was on a real film set, and whether it's a short film or a movie, I think because it was not something I came up with or had any training with, I had this sense of like, there's got to be this like really secret, magical, mystical thing about making a movie that I don't know about. And then I'm there and I'm like, oh, this is like everything else. And I'm like, this is going to sound like filled with ego or whatever, but you see things and you're like, I can do that. I can do that. And I didn't think of it that way before. And I see like, oh, that's what this is. Oh, I could do this, And I think sometimes it takes like seeing that in person, because it was this other thing, and that's the benefit of experience. Like you could sit in a classroom and learn, but until you're on a set, and then you realize like, oh my gosh, I can completely do this.
Non-ego, that's confidence.
That's
confidence.
I'd love to try to frame it that way. Thank you.
Absolutely. And you have to have that if you're in this industry, because otherwise it's not
so true.
Yes.
How about you, Theresa? What was your first film role?
Well, I have had kind of an unexpected journey, and I think in all the best ways possible. And I think that like I have had a very slow journey. I feel like I'm kind of trying to like relate it to David in terms of like, I went to school for film. Like I grew up in the studio. I know how all that stuff works. So I feel like the last few years, he's really had a chance to like learn that part of the industry. And now we're kind of at this place where he can help me with a lot of the acting stuff, and I can help him with a lot of the tech stuff. So we're kind of like combining things. And I think like I haven't actually had many opportunities to act in narrative stuff since I've been here. I've been very lucky to be able to do a lot of commercial and modeling
Tons
work.
of commercial
we
stuff.
love #MoreCreative. They're amazing. So I've done a lot of that stuff since I've been here, but the first film I really have been in has been our film. So I'm excited that next month I'll actually get to have a solid role in a feature film that we'll be doing together. So that'll be really exciting. So I'm excited for kind of my time to come.
All right, now it's my turn to plug you for a second. So Theresa is sort of phenomenally talented. And let me just say this about her. So she hasn't had that many opportunities acting in a narrative context on camera, modeling stuff, commercial acting stuff. She's just so natural on set and everything. And that's a huge part of it, is just, can you be comfortable on set? That's like the thing that I struggle with. I'm like, that camera out of my face. But for her, she has this it thing. I'm going to say the first real thing for you. No, the first real thing for you was actually we keep bringing him up. It's like this episode is brought to you by Andrew Stecker. In his Z-Fest film last year.
Yes.
And we had no idea what Z-Fest was. Yeah. We thought it was like a zombie thing. We were like, oh, I don't know what that is. And you know what? And because his was sort of post-apocalyptic, that totally fed into that.
Yeah,
like, okay, so I guess, and his just...
So Z is for Zombie Fest? Like, I don't get
that's
it.
That's what I thought. Yeah. But Theresa had a role in that where she had to work with a child actor, and then also...
Another one of David's students.
But also have like a real intense emotional moment and sort of breaking down. And that was your first time playing a character, and you had to go to like a huge emotional place. And I think you proved something to yourself right there. And certainly to me,
I Promise?
I was like,
is that the name?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, she can knock that out of the park. And we didn't know. She went into it kind of being like, I don't know if I can do this. And then on the other side, we were like, you most definitely can do that.
Yeah. It's acting is one of those things where like David said, you need to get experience on set. Like taking classes, absolutely. Practicing, absolutely. But to be in the moment and to like have to go is a whole other thing. So I'm really excited for more experience, more reps, more times in front of the camera, getting to say lines. Cause that's kind of my insecurity is like, I could be in front of the camera all day, no break, and give you all kinds of expressions, moods, whatever. As soon as I have a line, I tend to choke up. Cause I get nervous with that. I get nervous using my voice. So, that's something I am excited to work on. And yeah, we'll see where that goes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
She's good. You should hire her. Everyone should hire her.
I'm gonna second that. Yeah.
Thanks, you guys.
So, you guys do so many things. What are your favorite things about all these roles, about acting or filmmaking or editing? Stunts, maybe all of them. Maybe there's a couple where you're like, this is definitely the thing that draws me in.
You made me go first on each one.
Well, it just was making me think of like the conversation we were having just over the last few days of like, how are we gonna narrow things down? How are we going to kind of take all these like pathways and skills and distill them into like one, like the Theresa and David brand, and then secondly, as individual actors. So I think you kind of you can take it from there because you said it so eloquently.
I like you so much. Thank you. I'll keep this one. So I'll say something that I'm pretty sure you're going to resonate with as well. We want it all. We want to be able to do like the serious stuff or the action stuff, but we also want to be hilarious. Like we did a workshop at the Second City in Chicago, not last summer, but the summer before. And also, just speaking to your talent, our instructor couldn't believe that she had never done improv before. And I had, and I was like,
well, I had a lot of like he was teaching me for years subconsciously, playing little improv games while we're driving. And I was ready to go when I went to that class.
Just accept. Don't do this right now.
Are we fighting?
So, but we I think both find so much joy in being funny. And for me, when you said just like what's a moment that really felt, the first thing that I thought of was something we shot last summer, and with one of our friends who was another action sequence, and there was some comedy to it, and he and I were fighting each other and doing some cool choreography, but then we both go to do a kick at the same time and clang our shins against each other's shins, and so then we get to like have that reaction to that, and then also then like immediately as we're like, oh, ow, then we go and send the foot up to kick each other both in the face at the same time. And then we're both like holding our noses. And he and I kind of wrote that together pretty much right on the spot. Mm-hmm. And it was one of those magical moments where we did it the first time and it looked great. And I was, directing it because it went on our YouTube channel. We went back and I looked at it and I was like, should we do it again? And our friend, who's much more experienced than I am, was like, why? It's perfect. Why would you do it again? But that was a moment that I loved getting to do, and I loved watching afterwards because it's very physical. We both love being very physical, but I think using that to get laughs is just, even when we watched our film, like was so weird to like our first film that we made that we screened in front of people and stuff this year at Z-Fest.
Yeah.
Our favorite moments after we walked away from that was the pops of laughter when we were funny.
So memorable.
So we can do all this serious stuff. And actually some of the stuff that I've been hired to do has been like to be pretty serious.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny because I think both of us are actually clowns underneath it all and want to make people laugh.
Yeah. I think that and so we're both Christians, and I feel like God has really taken us both on this like teaching journey of like, he's really given you opportunities where you need to grow and learn, and has given me opportunities where I can grow and learn. Yeah. And I feel like we're at this turning point where all these experiences, I'm using my hands a lot. They can't see it. That's it. This is just
I do the same thing.
My weird phalanges. Right? So at this turning point where we're really excited to see like what God has in store to like bring all these elements together into what is going to be our future. So I think we've both had enough experience to kind of start to decide what is kind of next. Because we, like you said, we love it all. We want it all. But you can't always just go down every single path. You got to grind one way. And I know that our biggest passion is acting. Both from, different ways that kind of collide into the same idea of just like being able to use what is inside of you to bring a character to life and to like, I don't know. We're both just really passionate about.
She just did a 48-hour film festival with and she got to play. It's going to be a weird one, like a lot of 48s are. Yeah. But she was really funny. And what was your favorite moment? Was she got to do a funny like fall off a diving board into a pool with like a little pregnant suit on, like underneath her.
Oh,
and it was like a real, and that was out of all of your whole scene, that was the most fun part for you. And that's literally slapstick comedy. Like we're actually pretty basic, I guess.
We just love making each other
stepping
laugh.
on rake. It's like
at the end, okay. Like, I mean, I have an older sister, and she was very physical with me growing up. Loved like, fake punching me or like, whipping me with a wet towel or tripping me, stuff like that. And I loved it. Like, I loved it. I would like make her come out in the rain with me on like, we had a trampoline way back when, and it would be soaking wet. And she'd whip a towel under my feet and pull it out from underneath me. And I would crack up and love it. And I find that kind of like childlike feeling coming out when I get to play with David in action and in stunts. And he'll just get to like toss me over his shoulder or trip me or something. And it's so joyful, even though it all sounds so weird. It's so much fun. And I think like at the core, that's something we will always carry with us no matter what we do, is like that love for physicality, and movement. And punching each other, not actually.
all of those things. Oh my gosh. That's
okay. The audience doesn't know that it's not actually.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. It's not. I'm not actually punching it.
And
It's
in that one you were.
Which one?
In the one in the stomach, remember?
Oh yeah, no, I did.
Did it
Yeah,
like
we had a
4,500
YouTube video.
times.
We did a YouTube video that was comedy, but I was punching him in the gut, and I kept missing like the gut part and hitting him right in the sternum. Was it?
Oh,
or
no.
like the solar plexus?
No, yeah, I mean a couple times,
Yeah,
but mostly
okay.
it was just we had to do it so many times.
Yeah. Hey,
And
you
then-
wrote that and directed it.
I understand. And then after she kept being like, oh, this feels so cathartic.
She was doing it on purpose. The hand modeling and the punching is just kind of like.
Did I mess
see,
up another
see?
take?
Oh, I gotta do it 4 more times.
Yeah.
Right.
This
We
is good.
Definitely need
Working
another
it out.
angle, wide shot, all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah, get every angle. Yeah.
Yep.
There's a script idea right there, just like the foibles of making an action film,
That's
Yeah.
or
Write that down.
as a couple too. So
Yeah.
it would,
people seem to like that.
Mhm.
Well, when there were a couple comments on that video, and people were like, really wanted to see me be like brutalized even more in the next one. And I was like, oh, that's almost seemed a little weird, like this comment.
Oh,
Like,
people.
are you getting anything out of that? You got something out of it.
I mean, I'm happy to do that.
but like when you talk about like comedy, action, drama, kind of the acting side, it kind of reminds me of the show Barry. Have you guys watched that at all?
We don't
And
have,
no fewer
whatever it's on.
than 7 million people have told
Okay,
us to
we
watch
need
that, and
to
we
just-
still have not. It's on HBO,
Yeah.
right?
Okay,
Yeah,
we'll
but
just do,
now
we'll
it's
do a
Max,
free trial.
but yeah,
Oh, it's Max now. Yes.
Yeah.
I apologize, HBO.
whatever. But yeah,
It would be right up the
Um,
alley.
But yeah, it's definitely in that realm of all three. But like
Yeah.
the comedy
Yeah.
comes out of this more of the situations and some of the characters
Mhm.
kind of, but it's just the situations that they're in. There's just like, oh my God, it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's my favorite is when the characters don't necessarily know it's a comedy.
Right.
Mhm.
Like
Right.
that's I think my favorite is when you can
But
get
there's
people
tons
to
of
laugh,
action.
like they're dead ass
Yeah.
serious. Yeah.
yeah, all kinds of action too.
Oh, I
So
can't wait to watch that.
yeah, I highly recommend checking that out.
Yeah. You do
but
like a
also-
7-day trial in one name, an email,
and you
and then
can
like a
binge them
7-day
all.
trial
Yeah,
in the
just
next.
get them all.
Dude,
They're like
I've
half
done
double
so
hour
many
episodes, yeah.
trials of so many things, but not HBO. Or not Max.
Right.
Not Max.
Yeah, if anyone from
Yeah.
HBO Max is listening, we definitely aren't trying to game the system.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say maybe we want to not say.
Anyways,
Who's listening?
yeah.
Who's there?
What-
We
Cut
always
that, cut that.
Bezos?
for all the right things.
What
Right.
are
Is that you?
some of your favorite actors and filmmakers that you guys like? You mentioned Jackie Chan, but are there
stud.
Yeah.
others that you guys find inspiration out of, or like action films you mentioned that you really
Oh.
love?
Yeah. Well, I'll just kind of lead you.
Dude,
I always say here.
let's go back and forth.
Okay, well, I'll start with actor. I feel like it kind of varies with time. Like you have your like
Mhm.
actor of the moment or whatever. Right now, I really love Ana de Armas.
Mhm.
She,
Ana de Armas.
I just want to be here right now because she's awesome. And she's gonna be in like the John Wick spinoff kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, we
She
love
went
John
from
Wick.
I'm just like a normal drama actor to she had a small part in
Wait, what is she going to be in?
Yeah,
What spin-off?
the
Wait, yeah, what's spinoff?
So I think they're developing. Chad Stahelski's the director of the John Wick movies, and I know everything about this guy. Not everything. I want to meet him.
I'm gonna lead in with John Wick.
That's
who's
somebody
one of
who
our
I wanna-
biggest
I
inspos.
want to work with. I want to work with Chad Stahelski at some point. He's amazing. He was Keanu Reeves' stunt double on all the Matrix movies, and then he sort of worked his way to second unit directing and then directing. And his first movie he ever directed was the first John Wick movie, and now he's like developing. I forget what he said. He said he didn't want to call it a spin-off, but it's just like sort of like the universe. So like creating a universe with all of the lore of like the Continental and the tokens and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And
So it's
I
like a
think-
different part of the world with her.
Yeah,
instead of
yeah, so-
him,
so-
like,
right. And I
Okay.
think they already shot some of it because I think it takes place earlier in the story. So I think Keanu Reeves is going to be in it. But either way, it like
Ooh.
potentially will be her whole like
yeah.
her, and Halle Berry wants to have her
Yeah,
own
love her too.
because her character in the third one was so
Oh,
badass.
yeah.
Like they might do that too. So we're like let's
Give
get
us one
let's
more.
let's let's go right now. So we
Let's go there. Is it
as they start
Atlanta? Where is
developing
this?
these things. Yeah, right.
But all that being said, I really like Ana de Armas, and I love her roles, and I love that she went from like I'm just like a sweet dramatic actor, and I have a good range to being in a James Bond film with a small scene that she just crushed. She just crushed it. From that, she's like becoming an action actor, and it's like. I want to do that so bad, but I also just so appreciate her and love her. And similarly with Tessa Thompson, I really like her as well. So they're kind of my two gals that I look to. Of course, you have to say Zoe Saldana because she's just the best.
OG,
amazing in everything.
And like Dream Goal would
Colombiana.
be doing a full like motion capture suit movie. She does so many of those, but. Being some sort of creature, something like that, like would be phenomenal for me because I love odd movements and stuff like that. So
amazing.
Yeah. I'll bounce it over to you.
I think Denzel Washington has always been one of my favorite actors of all time, and I can't get enough of the Equalizer movies. And I don't care what anybody says in those films. I don't care what anybody says. I love those movies, and I love the idea. I wish they would make 10,000 more of them.
Right.
Where
There's
Denzel
another one
Washington
coming out.
Is it because they then did like a show? But they're doing another one with Denzel.
Yeah. Yep.
Amazing! I can't wait to see it.
I feel like it's coming out soon-ish.
I actually love. Maybe part of it is me thinking like I'm going to be older eventually too. But I love seeing like. Tom Cruise doing another. I mean, well, that's maybe you can't even count that because he's got those Scientology juices flowing through him. but like someone like Bob Odenkirk doing Mr. Nobody, like you know what I mean? Like because I look at that and I see Brad Pitt doing Bullet Train, and I'm like, oh, I could do like you know what I can't do is go be a professional MMA fighter. And I thought about I was like I should train to do an MMA fight, and now I'm like, why don't I pretend to fight people?
Teresa's face.
Yeah,
figured it out. I was like, why don't you do a fight? Absolutely not. Like absolutely not. So
maybe I still will at some point.
Maybe.
But
maybe,
it would be. But
it's the money maker now. You can't get that messed up.
I like the idea of seeing some of these actors, like the longevity that's there, of still being able to do action. Not that that's the only thing that I want to do, because I do enjoy tapping into other sides of things as well. I really like Jake Gyllenhaal. I don't think he gets the credit that he should. Maybe it's because he just like isn't. Yeah, right. He's like a little bit of a goofy guy or something, but some of his films, I mean, all the way from Brokeback Mountain and
Zodiac.
Prisoners. Zodiac is such a good movie. I like that he clearly can do comedy and he's funny and stuff, but he also he can go dark. And I think I probably like that idea a little more than you do. Like I like the idea of let me access this other side of myself too.
Yeah. I think in the right context I would be up for that, but I have we have a rating system for movies of if it's Teresa friendly, a lot of people call it Terry, so if it's Terry friendly.
We like our friends will tell us about a movie but be like, oh no, it's probably not Terry friendly.
Yeah, because I don't do horror. There were a couple V-Fest films where I was like, oh, cover my eyes, I did not see me. But yeah, no, I don't do horror very well at all. So I know that it's just a genre I stay away from. Sorry guys. No horrors for me.
No horrors. How about thrillers?
Yeah. Oh, thrillers. Yeah, absolutely. For sure. It's just for me. It's about anything like demon, monster, like that kind of stuff. I just stay away from.
Sort of
aliens are fine.
Because it comes out of him.
For those who can't see, he's doing something weird with his hand up his shirt.
He's doing the alien.
That's the alien.
The alien.
The alien actually comes out of his stomach,
but that's almost along the, you know what I mean? Of it's not possessing him. Well, it kind of is.
Right.
Just not spiritually.
Yeah.
Or maybe it is spiritual. You got to ask Ridley Scott. Get Ridley on the phone.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll just loop him into the podcast.
And on next we have Ridley Scott.
Exactly.
I feel like Ridley, I have my list of directors I'd love to work with too. I feel like he would have no patience for me.
That's true.
I
hear that. I've heard interviews with him. It's just like, interesting.
Yeah. Who are some other, you had mentioned a couple now. So who are some other directors that you'd be like, hell yeah, that would be amazing?
Well, I mean, our first one, Guy Ritchie. Yes.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I thought we were going to say something else.
What did you think we were going to say?
No.
I was waiting for it.
No, Guy Ritchie for sure. Guy Ritchie is like, just his style is something we really want to bring into our own filmmaking as well.
Like the fast cut sort of thing.
Yeah, the fast cuts, kind of like it doesn't take itself so seriously, but it's also dramatic and funny, and like The Gentleman is such a great example of that. Haven't seen The Gentleman. Such a good movie. So good.
We will have our things that we make eventually that are just like very, very, very serious and like just maybe long. Like we'll do that at some point. But I think for us, the types of movies we love to go watch are the ones that the people that made it were like, we're going to entertain people. We're going to give people a good time, you know? Yeah. And I think when you look at those movies, there is a lot of realness there, and he works with incredible actors. That's maybe one of his best skills is working with amazing actors, but they're not afraid to have fun and you know, something like just little things that we love, like two characters are having a conversation and then all of a sudden it picks up in a completely different location that would have taken them hours to get there, but they're at the same exact place in the conversation. Like, just because that's fun and interesting. And, you know, like I kicked the thing. I have to kick something at least once an hour. But I think we like things that are good. It's not like don't mess with the Zohan, right? But it's like, you know, like it's not so absurd. It's not absurd, but it's not afraid to like have some fun.
Be self-referential and stuff like that. But it's funny because I think, you know, from the editing side of things, we both really love movies with really good editing. And you have to have really good editors to do that kind of stuff that Guy Ritchie does. But it also kind of translates to kind of the style into something like Dune, where Dune is, like, as an editor, just my favorite movie for sure. Everything about it.
Which Dune, the most recent or the David Lynch one?
The most recent.
Okay.
The Timothy Chalamet version, and Zendaya. Great actors, but the idea of like nothing has to be like linear. You know, you can really play with film as a medium because it's an art form in and of itself. And the editing is where the story comes together. That's how you really tell the story. And to be creative in the way that you do that and the style that you do that is, I mean, we both just love that so much. Yeah.
J.J. Abrams is another one.
Awesome.
I mean, all the way back to Lost, I was such a huge Lost fan.
He got me into it.
I still think the Lost pilot is maybe the best TV pilot that there's ever been. It's so good. It's so good. Okay. But I've been watching through the Mission Impossible movies again because the next one's going to come out this summer. Number 7, crazy. And it's so funny. Like, I've not watched those in so long, and I watch movies so differently now. That's one of my favorite things to do, is watch movies now that I'm thinking through a different lens. I'm thinking as a filmmaker or maybe as a director, and I'm watching, and I always remembered loving the third Mission Impossible. And then I watch it and it's like, oh, this was directed by J.J. Abrams. And he does this other non-linear thing that we love. It picks up, the movie starts at the end. And you don't see everything that's happening, but he gives you like just, and that's editing too, obviously, but you see just enough that you're like, oh my God. And then it goes back to the beginning and we know where we're going to get to. And it's fun then to see like how, when we get there, are we going to fill in a little bit and then see where it goes from there. We love that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So much fun.
Do you guys have each like a favorite top movie? Like you just watch it a million times and it doesn't matter.
I do.
What's yours?
I'll go first. It's been the same answer for a long time. It's The Count of Monte Cristo. It's one of the only. It's one of the only things that I loved the book and I loved the movie, and they're so different from each other.
Yeah.
Guy Pearce, and Jim Caviezel.
That's a good one. I love that.
And it's oh my gosh, it's got everything you could want. It's got sword fights and action. It's got comedy, and Jim Caviezel has this huge range. And it's just, I always, when I was younger, watched that, was like, I hope I feel about things as strongly as he does one day, you know, like, yeah, that's just, it's too good. I love that so much.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like going completely the opposite way. If we're just talking about movies that we could just watch over and over and over again, like Bring to a Desert Island, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Devil Wears Prada is just, I mean, I love it so much. I love Anne Hathaway. I know people don't like her, do like her, whatever. I think she's awesome. Meryl Streep, obviously. Yeah, I have my feelings about Meryl. I think she's a phenomenal actress. But that whole movie is just like everything that you'd want in a movie, I feel like. And and Emily Blunt, oh my gosh.
Stanley Tucci.
So many good ones. Yeah. So that would be my pick.
Fun fact, I just read something today about, it was an article about like actors who almost played really big roles.
Oh, I love those.
And apparently Rachel McAdams was almost Anne Hathaway's character in Devil Wears Prada.
Whoa.
Which I feel like would have worked out, but it just would have been so different.
It would have been different,
been different.
But I do love.
Now you got me thinking.
So
yeah.
It was a very interesting list. There were some that you like. Everyone knows, like Will Smith was almost Neo, and
I know,
but
right?
then some I was like,
that would have been good still.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, on that idea of like the path less traveled, have both of you progressed in your careers as you have expected to this point?
Long pause.
Dramatic pause.
Well, I could talk forever, but I do have to leave in just a few minutes. I hope that's okay. But just to let you guys know. But I feel like in terms of,
has this sentence progressed as you thought it would?
Absolutely not. I feel like life is just weird, right? Like life takes so many different turns. And I think everything happens in your life for a reason. And I think, when I graduated college, I thought I was going right out to LA, and I had a connection who wanted me out there and yada, yada. And all of this fell through. And then like a year later, I got married to this guy, and it was just like, that is amazing. And that's why. And I know for sure that we are better together than we would be separately. And so I think the journey, the last 5.5 years we've been married, which is so crazy, it's been that long, is kind of going to take us forward. So I think I'm excited about the future and grateful for the past, in the very all over the place, lots of ups and downs in my own personal mind and body. So no, it definitely didn't take the way that it went, and it didn't go from A to B. It went from like A to Z to back to, back and forth. So that's my little journey.
It's a good answer.
Like a Guy Ritchie film started at the end, then he went to the
There you go.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I'd say for 2 years have I even been thinking about wanting to do anything in this industry. And like I said, a year ago, we were like, didn't even know what Z-Fest was, and didn't know most of the people in this town. And it's so funny, the difference between that first movie I did and walking away from that being like, okay, so it's not some unreachable thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then a year later, we did a couple Z-Fest films and met some people. And now a year later, I think it makes sense the way things have progressed so far. And we're both attached to a feature film this summer that's going to be very exciting, that we get to act opposite each other.
Mm-hmm.
What's it
called?
About it.
Can you say?
I don't think we can. Or can we? It is a working title anyways.
Too much.
That's okay.
So
That's all right. You don't have to say.
Ruin any opportunity.
If you give me talk,
dude, I love it though. No. But I love that about you. I would never want you to change that. But I think it probably won't be until a year from now that I even have a sense of what that means for it to be progressing. You know what I mean? And then we'll get to know this market's ins and outs, and then maybe get a gig somewhere bigger, like maybe something in Atlanta or whatever. And then it'll be a whole other thing of how does a career progress, you know, on a bigger scale. And I think the biggest thing for us is this is like, I guess, a total non-answer to the question, but I'll just speak for myself, and I think you would a little bit agree with this. We have been working so hard these last couple of years on our mental health because we've got some stuff that we're working through. And that's just like, I think that has opened up so many things for me. Because if you can't be authentically yourself, I think you're going to be limited in whatever field it is. In acting, I think authenticity is very important, but I don't care what it is, you're going to have a ceiling that's not as high as you would want it to be. So we've sort of been doing a lot of that work and are now like, all right, let's do this thing.
Yeah.
So you guys have come off the heels of making your first Z-Fest film together. That's great.
Yeah.
So like, tell us just real briefly, we have just a few questions left. What was that like? What was it like showing it in front of people like that, and just making it, like, especially an action film with Gael, who's been on the podcast? And
yeah, we love Gael.
Yeah. Oh, Gael is awesome. She's great. But like, I'll let the director start with. Hey,
how about I kick it back to the producer? We had to spend more than I thought we would have to.
It's always the
There's
case.
Something.
Money.
Yep. And that was like, now we know, now we understand that very viscerally.
We were like, we have no budget for this film. Let's spend a lot of money on this.
Yeah. I think that I wrote it with certain things in mind and people in mind, and the child actor who was in it is one of my karate students. Love that guy. He just turned 9 years old, and he was in our first video that we ever did, that like Doritos fan contest.
Yeah.
And he was just a tiny little pipsqueak, and now he's just a slightly larger pipsqueak.
That.
Is that close to this? Probably. But he was nominated for Best Child Actor. I had the darndest time trying to help him understand what the word nominated means, because he was like, "So I got it right." I'm like, no, that's just not what that
almost
means. Yeah. But it was really fun for me writing something. I like writing things with certain people in mind, and I think I've started to realize how important, when you have limited resources and you don't just have a budget to go do this or that, you have to write the thing in the first place with in mind, like, how long is that going to take, or can we get all these people there that day? And that's so much more part of it than I sort of realized, you know. And I think, like, the way that I work personally, it doesn't matter what, I guarantee you, it doesn't matter what I get hired on or volunteer to help out with. I just don't know any other way other than to go 100%, you know, and just like, if I'm going to be here, why would I be here to not give it literally everything I have? Yeah. And I think I'm a little bit of an intense person. And I, directing other people, I sometimes have to realize, like, I cannot have that. That's not a reasonable expectation to have of everybody who it takes so many people to make a thing happen. I found myself a couple times looking around like, how is everybody else not like exactly as, and I'm like, oh, right. I'm like, first of all, this is our thing, but also I just like very intense that way. So it was fun and challenging, and I learned so much, and I'm the kind of person that I already would go back and do so many things differently, but how would you know unless you did it this way in the first place? So that was like, I think the end product was super fun, but that was maybe my biggest thing that I gained from it, was that of like seeing really firsthand everything that it takes to make something like that happen, a short film that's 7 minutes long, you know, and then and then all the things that I would do differently. But my problem is I'm sitting literally in the theater watching it with people, and people are enjoying it, and we got audience favorite in our block, and I'm sitting there thinking critically like that. I have a really hard time letting go and just enjoying the moment, and that's what Theresa helps me with.
Yeah, we balance each other in that way, because I have a really hard time self-motivating, and it's hard for me to like get going and like do stuff and like let's go. He does not have that problem at all. But he does have a problem living in the present sometimes. And I really enjoy living in the present, and just taking everything in when I am, experiencing something. I think I'm a visual artist, and I think that like a lot of visual artists are like that, like painters and people who draw or do, pottery, stuff like that is, so it's like slow and methodical. But yeah, honestly, my favorite part of the whole process was just watching it. I mean, watching it in front of an audience who is enjoying it. And regardless of what I thought it was going to be, or how I thought it was going to turn out, or how much money we spent, or like whatever, that all goes away in the moment that you realize, like, this is it. We always have another time. We always can do something else. But right now we're here listening to these people laugh and comment and think it's awesome. So that I'll always hold on to that memory. Yeah.
If anybody listening to this was there at our screening block, dude, I was so not even nervous exactly. I just get anxious. Okay. I have anxiety. It's a problem. I'm working on it. I'm in therapy. But my face gets so red so fast. And at least 3 different people commented on that. I was like, I know.
Oh, no.
I know. I know. That's why I don't want to take this next photo.
Oh, my God.
That's the boss. They're very direct.
Yeah.
But it was super fun. It was so much fun. And it was fun that we knew so many more people.
Yeah.
And we got to watch, watching other people's stuff too. I have a newfound, like, I can't believe that you made that happen, because I know how hard it is now. Like, I know how difficult it is just to make one shot look that good, let alone all of these shots.
I feel like no matter where we go in life, like if we end up going to Atlanta or LA or something, like this community in Minnesota is just so amazing and will always like be home for us. And like, just the support that you get in a festival like that. And like, no matter what, people are going to cheer for you. You're not worried about somebody booing, like, because it's all like, you know what I mean? Like, even if you didn't quite get it the way you wanted to get it, like, I'm still going to cheer for you because it's up on that big screen and like you did it. So I love this community.
Yeah. So what is next? What is the next
that's
step
my
for you
problem.
two?
That's my problem is I think it was the same weekend still. And I was like, I think I know the 2 things I want to do next year.
Night.
And she was like, 2 things? We just survived this. What are you talking about? You lunatic. So next is very interesting for us because there are a lot of things that we do. So next month we're going to have a feature film that we're shooting. And then, there's the next thing that we'll make for our YouTube channel, which we have, from some of the videos, including our film, we want to put some like behind the scenes stuff together. Theresa and I have talked about maybe doing even just like a breakdown of a stunt or a, something like that. So we want to be more active on our YouTube channel and social media and stuff like that. But, then in another sense, the next thing is one of our friends who's a cinematographer. He wants to shoot something, and we are like, we should just put the reps in. Let's stay sharp. So we're going to shoot something with him, not even for anything necessarily, but we're going to do that probably like next week or the week after, just to stay on top of it. And I think that's important. Like if you're not currently hired on something, like do your own thing. So you stay sharp.
Yeah, we're so grateful to have like he's writing, directing, and then I edit, and like, you know, we always need help in the middle with like the camera operating because it's really hard to do action stuff with just 2 people. So we want to be making more for our YouTube channel and for our social media, because that's also just a great way to promote yourself as an actor. Like any sort of like bigger budget things, they're probably going to look at your Instagram. They're probably going to see if you have a YouTube.
It's crazy.
and stuff
They
like
ask
that.
like, "What's your following?"
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
"Shh, my
That-
mom
that's-
loves me."
But
Right?
that's how we're going to get in the John Wick show, because
Yes.
it's just got to happen, you guys.
Yeah, the
Exactly.
continental.
But I'll also plug myself for editing work. If anyone listening needs an editor for your reel, or you got a project or something like that, I have some time this summer and would love to help edit some
Ooh,
stuff.
there it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, she's good.
So kind of going off of that, how can people find you, follow you, contact you if they want to work with you or collaborate or anything?
Yeah. So YouTube channel is where you'll see us together the most. So it's just Theresa and David. Theresa with an H.
H and
Get that H because it's Theresa, not Theresa. That'll help you remember it. We each have our own Instagrams. Mine is Theresa Alvarado 05 and his is David Alvarado for real. And you can follow kind of like daily stuff in that. And then we're going to be getting a website together. But in terms of contacting us, Instagram is great. Otherwise, we do have a shared email, Theresa and David for real at gmail.com.
It's the number 4 and then the word real.
Ooh, of course.
Yeah.
Like
Yes,
REAL or R?
Yeah, REAL.
REAL.
This is us for real. Yeah,
This is
Okay.
really us.
it's really
I
us.
like it.
But yeah, Insta
right.
always works for like
Yeah.
DMs and stuff.
Oh, and
too,
we
or
do
TikTok.
have a TikTok. It's not like a big thing or
We
anything.
just haven't done a lot with it, but I feel like we are going to eventually.
We will. So, and that's also Theresa and David. So basically, if you just search Theresa and David, we'll probably pop up.
I think,
I like it.
yeah, one of our all those like short form things we want to do more of.
Yeah.
Right now, I
Mhm.
think the short form thing, like that vertical that we've done that has the most plays and like traffic
YouTube
is
short that we
is
did.
us making my mom do a shot for the first time.
Yeah. But I think it speaks to me as an editor because, like,
Yes,
my
yes, you
favorite thing as an
edited
editor
well.
is
Yeah,
to, like, if you have just a bunch of footage and you don't know what to do with it,
You'll
call
find
me
the
because I'll
story,
figure out a
yeah.
way to like
Yeah.
make something fun with it. That's like my
Yeah.
favorite thing. And so we took his mom out to like a birthday dinner when she came to visit. She's from Boston area. And so she came out and it was me and David and his mom and my older sister. And we all had a couple drinks and it was a lot of fun. And his mom had never taken a shot before. I'm sure she was taking a shot before,
Maybe.
but yeah, maybe.
That's
So
her
she-
story.
So the waiter gives us some free shots because it's her birthday. And so I took a video of her like taking her first shot and David, of course, cracked some jokes and my sister's being funny. And I just, I edited it and I, put on Instagram. And now it's almost at like 30,000 likes or plays or something. And I'm
Oh,
like,
wow.
seriously, out of like everything I've put up there, that's what you guys like.
Right? It's never the one
I
you
love
want.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always what you don't
it never
expect.
is, right?
Amazing. So I know you guys have to go. But first we have one last question. It's kind of the big
I'm
one.
so excited! I can't. The
Um,
big. I don't know what happens after I die.
The
Yes,
big
I will
one.
marry
Hopefully
you.
not.
Come on. Right? This is a wild conversation. I love it. What do you want people to remember most?
Oh, that's right. That is a big question.
Yeah, whether it's people after working with you or from watching your stuff or anything.
Yeah. Well, this may sound really cheesy or whatever, but like Christ is really important in our lives.
Mhm.
Jesus is really important. And if anything, anyone we meet, anyone we work with, anyone we see, we want to make sure they feel loved by us and to see the light of Christ. And that's, really that's it. It would be great to be like, whoa, she's such a great, like, person. I don't know. I couldn't think of any more words. Or like, her acting is great or her editing is great or whatever.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like it's not me that shares that love. It's Jesus in me. And I just want people to feel loved. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head. Like there are some amazing people that do like beautiful philanthropic work or like missionary type stuff. And I don't know, maybe one day we'll have a foundation like these famous people or something. But
I'd love to.
we feel like more any calling that we have is just the day-to-day kind of thing. Like try to just be loving and kind to the people around us. And then like we're crazy about each other. We are, and we've worked really hard on our relationship too. It's not always just easy.
Yes, it's a lot of work.
But I think like just hopefully the fact that we are willing to be patient and loving with anybody, even if, you know, there's dicks out there too. You're going to run into them. Spoilers for everybody. They're out there. But, you know, like no matter what, if we're able to keep that kind of energy, I think that'd be a great thing to do. And maybe hopefully that we were funny while doing it.
Yeah.
God has a sense of humor.
Yeah. I love making people laugh and making people feel like warm and giddy. No, that sounded weird.
No, it makes sense.
This is when Theresa starts saying weird things.
I can't tell you how warm we love to make people feel. The warmest.
The warmest.
It's like the Target lady on Sunday.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I will say that you guys have definitely brought a lot of humor and warmth to the podcast today. It's been really fun getting to talk to you guys and getting to know you and everything. So thank you so much for taking the time again.
Thank you both so much. This is a lot of fun.
You're awesome. Thanks for doing this podcast, and we can't wait to keep listening to it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And to our listeners, thanks for chiming in with Film in Minnesota.